How do we increase hotel revenue? Here's something that most hotel owners don't realize. Most hotels already have enough demand to generate more revenue. But the issue is that they're just leaking it. Now, how are they leaking it? You're leaking it through check-in because nobody's offering an upgrade. You're leaking during mid-stay when a guest is at your property and they would happily pay for convenience, but no one mentions anything. You're leaking revenue at checkout when an extra night or a late checkout was possible, but nobody said anything. And here's where a lot of hotel owners get it wrong. They end up spending so much money in marketing, in running more ads, and chasing OTAs when in actuality, you don't actually need more guests. You just need to stop wasting the ones that are already at your property. Now, in this video, I'm going to tell you how you can install the on-property system. And the whole objective of this system is so that we can design the right moment when guests naturally want to spend more at your property. Let's begin. So if you've been following this series so far, you realize that revenue is the third system that we're going to be working on. The first one we worked on was housekeeping, and basically the whole objective of housekeeping was to build a system that was consistent and that would build trust with the guest. The second thing we worked on was on front desk and building the system so that there was no more chaos, right? And that's what's going to make the guests feel more comfortable and feel safe. Once you get those two right, that brings us to system number 3, which is generating more revenue. And once you get these two, what you end up having is guests that feel safe, feel comfortable, and trust you. And if you get those 3 right, they want to spend more money with you. So before we begin, I need to explain what this video is not about. We're not going to be discussing about pricing strategy. So we're not going to be talking about setting rates, managing demand for seasonality and things like that. No, that's a different problem entirely. We're not going to be talking about distribution strategies. We're not going to be talking about channel mix, OTA versus direct, commission management. That's not what we'll be talking about. What we'll be addressing in this video is going to be the on-property system. And what that is just guests that are already on property. How do we generate more revenue from those guests, right? Basically, how do we capture more value rather than just letting them walk away? So if you're familiar with my steps already, you already know I always have 5 components to everything I talk about. Now, the first component we're going to talk about is when to make an offer. The second one is what to offer exactly to your guests. The third one is going to be how to make an offer, which is basically providing your staff with a script. Next one is going to be when not to offer. And the last one is going to be tracking, how to know if all of these systems are working. So let's begin with the first one. So the first one we're going to look at is when to make more offers. And what you need to understand is that revenues don't just randomly happen. You have to specifically create those moments, especially when guests are willing to spend more. And what are these periods that guests are happily or would happily spend more? The first one is at check-in. Now, this is your highest leverage point because this is where you're setting in the first impression and the guest is trying to decide how comfortable they want to be at your stay. So this is when you can start making special offers, things like upgrades, things that would make their stay more comfortable, for convenience, add-ons. And those are the things you need to start thinking about and making those offers at the check-in stage. The second opportunity is during the mid-stay. Now, this is when they're already settled in, they're enjoying their stay. They are no longer deciding whether they like your hotel or not. What they're trying to decide is how long do I want to stay comfortable for? So this is when you start putting in the offers for extensions or anything that would make their lives more convenient. Those are the kind of offers you make at those points. Now, the third one is at checkout or pre-departure. Now, this could either be the night before or the morning off. Now, this is where your guests are thinking about the timing because they're ready to leave. They're packing their stuffs, their luggage, their flights, their logistics. So now you need to start thinking about what offers could you make to make their life more easier, because this is the last opportunity that you get. You need to think about solving problems. That's what offers are. Offers are about solving problems. So pick a problem, present it as an offer, which is contextual offer to the guests, and see how they will reply. They're going to be happy about it. So let's move into the next one. So the next component is basically what to offer. Now, this is where a lot of hotel owners get it terribly wrong, because what they do is they have offers that offered at random. It's offered today, it's not offered tomorrow, causes a lot of confusion. Next is inconsistent pricing, so nobody knows exactly what the price is going for today, and a lot of their staffs don't know exactly what is available and when. Now, if this is you, this is the reason why your revenues are still low. And this is why you're leaking money. Now, the typical core offers for every hotel could simply be upgrades, parking, Wi-Fi, breakfast package. These are the typical core offers for any hotel. Right now, it's something that you could simply offer. Now, what does every offer must have? These three things. The first thing each offer needs to provide is a clear value. So you're not just simply telling us a guest, oh, we're going to give you an upgrade. No, 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 no. We're giving you a larger room at a higher floor with a better view, clear value. That's what you need to focus on. Second thing you need to have is a clear price. One price, it's $25. Say it confidently, right? You don't want to have situations where staff is saying, I think it's about 40. You don't want that. Or let me go check. No, the price should be clear. I should be able to tell the guests right away. The third thing is there must be clear eligibility, meaning that staffs must know when a guest qualifies for that particular offer and when they do. Now, what you want to do is you want to make sure that you document this and make it visible for your staffs to see. We're going to move to the next one, which is basically how to offer. I'm going to look at the script that you're going to give to your staffs. So the next component is going to be how to offer. This is basically where the script comes in. Now, a lot of hotels that I've worked with really struggle with this because most of the staffs don't know how to upsell. They could be really friendly, but when it comes to offering anything with a price tag attached to it, they get really awkward and they feel like sales is pushy and they don't really want to be that person. So the solution to this is simply providing them with a script. So by providing them with a script, it just removes them having to improvise. And let's walk through some examples here so you can see how it is and how you've explained to your staff. So example number one is, this is someone is checking in really early, came at 11 a.m., and your check-in time is typically 3 p.m. So what you don't want to do is what you're currently doing right now is start simply saying, sorry, the check-in time is at 3 p.m. We can't check you in right now. Go and come back. You know what I mean? Rather, what you want to do is provide them with a script that goes something like this. Hey, your room is actually available now. I can check you in early for $15 if you'd like to get settled in right away. If not, I'm happy to store your bags until you are ready. What this does is it doesn't create any pressure, right? It removes any awkwardness around the conversation because the staff knows exactly what to say. And then you have two clear options presented to the guests so they can then decide. So regardless of whether it's a yes or a no, the conversation ends on a positive note. Let's take a look at another example, right? When it comes to late checkout. So now, if a guest comes in and tells you mid-conversation, says, oh, I have an evening flight tomorrow, typically what you have is staff just simply say, okay, the conversation ends there and it just dies down. Meanwhile, this is an opportunity for you to provide service or really to go above and beyond for the guests. So what you could then do is provide a script that simply says, oh, since you have a later flight tomorrow, I can offer you a late checkout for $20 extra. That way you don't have to wait at the lobby, with your luggage, right? That could be a script that your staff says to the guest. Now, this is your staff being helpful to the guest. It's providing a clear benefit to them and it's a positive interaction, right? You can see the difference here, and this is what you want to create. So you want to get rid of the awkwardness. You want to present them with a script so that you can then provide or be of more value to a guest. And that way you're able to generate more revenue for your company. So the first one here is going to be when not to offer. So we must create boundaries for ourselves. And typically you would realize why most front desk staffs really never like setting is because they don't know what the boundaries are. They don't know what they can or can't do. So we need to create that boundary for them. Now, That's where rules come in. Now, the rules are in place so that it makes your offer feel intentional and you're not requesting it out of desperation. You don't want to seem like a desperate hotel always clamoring for more. And that's basically why most of your front desk staffs don't like selling. So these rules are what's going to help you because you need to understand that trust creates more revenue over time. And when you are being more helpful rather than pushy, that's when your trust actually begins to build and your revenue begins to increase, right? So when should you not make an offer to a guest? So the first one is when guests just complain. So if a guest just made a complaint, now it's not the time to start providing with upgrades. No, they want their problem solved. So focus on solving the problem. The second time is when you can't fulfill the offer. So you can't offer someone a late checkout when you need that room right away the next day. So you don't want to make that offer, especially when you know you can't fulfill that. The third one is don't discount if it destroys your rate's integrity. So you don't just want to be handing out discounts simply because you want to start generating more revenue. You have to understand that trust is important and you create trust over time by having clearly defined rules, which is basically what we just talked about: who to offer to, when not to offer, when not to give a discount, and what requires approval. So you must keep this line in mind throughout your whole entire time. Trust creates more revenue over time than any upsell. Hope that's clear. So next, we're going to move to how to track all of this, how to know if all of these offers are working. So the last one here is tracking. If you don't track it, it doesn't exist. Now, this is where we know if all the system that we have built is actually working. Now, this would also tell you where exactly the systems are broken and what you need to focus on. Now, there are basically four numbers you want to keep track of. The first one is basically your offer rate. Basically, you want to track if people are making those offers to guests, if people are prompting those guests. So if that number is low, meaning there's not enough people on most of your staffs are not making offers to guests, it simply means that you have a training issue or a confidence issue. You know exactly what to focus on for your guests. The second number you want to track is the acceptance rate, meaning that how often do guests say yes to your offers? Well, if that number is low, it tells you that the offer you're making is not really compelling enough. It's not a great offer, right? Or maybe the price isn't working for the guests, so you need to work on pricing. Or it could be that the script that you've provided to your staffs doesn't really work. So that tells you what to focus on. The third number you want to track is the revenue per arrival. Now, this is your headline number. It simply means how much extra do you capture per guest. And this is not your regular price for the rooms. No, this is what goes above that. So, if, for example, your night is $100 per night, and if you're making an offer that is maybe $20 above that, the $20 is what your revenue per arrival is. So that's the number you want to track. And hopefully your goal is to keep increasing that particular number because that's additional revenue. The fourth one is offers versus availability. So meaning that how many of those offers that you have just sitting down waiting and nobody's actually taking them. But you have to also track how much offers you are making and compare both. So if your offers here is really low and the offer that you're providing is available throughout the whole entire year, nobody's taking them, it simply means that you're not making enough offers. So you need to fix that, and that takes you back to the top. So basically, this is what you need to track to basically see what's broken or what's actually working. So what happens now after we've installed the on-property system? What has changed about your hotel? Now, what you now have is that you're going to have more increased revenue. And we did this not by increasing the amount of traffic that we're getting into our hotel, nor did we do this by trying to spend more money on running more ads or focusing so much on OTAs and then leading to so much more, paying so much more in commissions. What we have just done is just utilize the guests that we already have and extract more value from the customers that we have in our property. You also then now have confident staffs. They no longer feel awkward because now they feel very empowered. they feel like they're actually being helpful because you provide them exactly what to say and you've changed their perspective about sales. They now understand that sales is about providing contextual offers and then you're actually helping the guests. Now, in regards to your guests, they feel more cared for. Now, they're not targets, they feel like you care because your offers are well timed, well presented. And then if this is done, your offers tend now to feel like excellent service instead of a sales pitch because you're out there trying to provide help. That's your whole perspective. Now, what we have all done is not just increase revenue, but also we are building a resilient and profitable operation. So that's what we've been able to achieve so far by you installing the on-property system. So in the spirit of making more offers, I have a gift for you. So you can go in the comment section and just download a free cheat sheet because if you want to implement all these components that we've talked about and you're thinking, oh, this is going to be difficult to create for yourself or to start from scratch, I already built all of this. I used it with my clients that I consult for. So all these components are in this free gift I have for you, right? So the free cheat sheet includes a one-page, tells you when to make an offer, when to stay quiet, things like that. And then the full toolkit, which you have to purchase, has the sales playbook. You can download it and use it right away with your team. It has actual script, so you can just hand it over to your team and they'll know exactly what to say. You just have to tweak it to the offers that you have for your hotel. And you also have the Excel tracker that we talked about, which is basically the last one here. So you can track whether all the systems are working. Now, I need you to remember the whole goal of this. You don't need more guests. You just simply need better systems. Cheers.